Hi guys, very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the video number 472. My name is Ajay Parmar, and in this video today I'm going to talk about one of the fantastic example where we're going to see the importance of if functions along with the VBA loops. I'm going to cover in this video for next loop with the if function, right? And this is we're going to use both the things in the same code, right? So if you're watching the channel for the first time, I welcome you, and I will definitely encourage you, insist you to go and see all the 470 videos on this channel, and they are purely on the Excel VBA, MS Access and Access VBA, and very soon we are going to start the web designing as well, right? We're going to start with the HTML, right? So we have all the videos, basic level videos, advanced level videos on this channel. This is my channel. If you just want to spread this information among the all the professionals who extensively are working in Excel or maybe Excel VBA and or Access VBA, you can share this channel link with them. Right now, these are all the playlists on my front page where you get to see all these different categories: Access VBA, simple, Excel VBA. So the title talks about the subject basically, so you don't have to really struggle here because there are a lot of videos, and this is the playlist which I'm sharing with you. You can go and watch all these the videos in this sequence. For this is for the Excel VBA, this is for the Excel, this is for Access frontend, and this is for Access VBA. And very soon you're going to see the web designing HTML as well, right? So now what we are supposed to do is we're going to talk about this pattern. This is the pattern, guys, which I am going to today share it with you, how you can actually make this kind of a loop. So here if you look at this, we have basically these cross signs, or you can say X, and this is basically moving row by row. It's increasing, but at the same time when it is moving from the column, from one column to the another column, if you look at this carefully, we have first the 5 columns, and then we have 3 and then 1. So basically 5 3 1. So what is happening, we are actually reducing this by 2, 5 minus 3, and then 3 minus uh, uh, 5 minus 3, and then again the 3 minus basically 2. That's the sort of stuff we are going to actually do in this video. Right now, before I begin with this sort of loop, I want to give you the idea. Now you know what, one thing which is very clear, that our rows are incrementing. So the first time when the loop runs, so overall this loop is supposed to run 3 times, isn't it? This is the first time, this is the second time, and this is the third time. Now when it is going to run for the first time, it is supposed to run 5 times, and when it is supposed to run the second time, the loop I'm talking about, it is supposed to run only 3 times, and when it is supposed to run for the last time, which is the third time, it is supposed to run only once. Right? So in other words, I can say that on the row number 1 it should run 5 times, on the row number 2 it should run 3 times, and on the row number 3 it should run only 1 time. So how are you going to make this kind of a code? Now you may come up with a better idea, right? There's no limit to it. I mean, you can be creative, but because I have to give you the if example, so I have thought of something for you, right? So let's go and first of all write the for next loop with a function. So to begin with this, first of all what I will do is, let me just go and first of all delete this. Now let us first quickly create a loop, dim, let's say I'm going to write here big loop as long, and then dim small loop, I simply write s loop as long. Right now, what is my big loop? Now big loop is a loop, guys, which is going to decide how many times this loop is supposed to run. Right, so this loop is supposed to run for big loop equals to 1 to 3, isn't it? We want to run this loop 3 times, right? And then once it is running 3 times, every time it runs, before it goes for the big loop as 2, it first should cover, it should run for the 5 times. So this is, we are going to make another loop in this, right? So this is what I'm going to do, how to make the sub loop in the loop, right? So we are going to write for is loop, and then I'm going to write here equals to 1 to 5, and then next my short loop, right? This is what I'm supposed to do here. Now the thing is, first of all, let's quickly print the value here. So you're gonna print the value here. I'm going to use the row number here. So my row number would be 1, so I'm just going to put it as 1 column, the column number. The column is going to be s loop, because s is going to change every time. So I'm just going to write here s value equals to, let's say, x, isn't it? Now the moment I run this code, what's going to happen, you will have your code printed here, x and then x and then x and then x and then x, right? Now what is happening, this s actually is increasing one by one. So first you are on the column number 1 with the row number 1, row is not changing, and then the s loop is going to be incremented, it is going to be 2, then you are on the row number 1 and the column number 2, and then the row number 1 again, column number 3 again, row number 1, column number 4, and then column number 5 and the row number 1, right? This is what we are supposed to do here, right? So the point is, once this loop runs, once this loop runs, you have to go in the big loop, and the big loop is going to run for the second time, right? So this cell should be here then 2, because then you would start your coding from the second row, isn't it? But then let's make it that way, because if I'm going to just simply write here 1 or 2, it's going to be static. So I think I can write here big loop, isn't it? Because big loop every time is going to change. Now the first time this loop is going to run 5 times, the big loop is going to be 1, which is from here. And then when this loop finishes, the inner loop finishes, this big loop is going to be incremented by 1, and then this is going to be my 2, right? But the point is, which you need to understand here, guys, once this loop is finished for the first time, when you have printed this 5 times, the next time when you are on the row number 2, you have to print it only 3 times. So you have to change this 5 to, you have to change this to 3. But you cannot do that in this way. You cannot use the constant then. So then we can use here, maybe let's say I say that my target, another variable, let's declare another variable. So I'm just going to write here my target, because if I declare this as a variable, I can control it. So before the loop starts, let's simply write this as 5, because we want to start this as 5, but once this inner loop finishes and it goes for the next big loop, here I'm going to say that let's subtract this from, let's subtract -3 from it. Why? Because when you're going to run this, the first time it would be 5, but the next time it should run only 3 times. So that means I should actually subtract the 2. 5 minus 2 is going to give me what? It's going to give me actually 3. So the next time that this line is going to be read as for short loop equals to 1 2 3, and I will have my 3, right? But the point is very important, guys. When you are going to be on the second row because of this big loop, I know that we have sorted this issue. The loop is going to work only 1 2 3, but what about the column? Because when you're going to run this, so let me just go and run this code again. So I go here and let me put the break code here, and let's just run this. Now you see that what's the value in this s loop? Look at this, it is 6, because 5 times it ran, and then this next s loop is going to make it 6, and when it is 6, the loop will exit, because the loop was supposed to run only basically how many times? Only 5 times, right? So the moment s loop becomes 6, you will go for the bigger loop, right? You will get out of this next short loop. So now we have a 6 here, but we can't start now with the 6, because now we are going to be on the second row. If we are going to be on the second row, then we have to set this also. We have to do some changes here, right? Now I'm simply going to write here that this s loop then should be reduced to what? It should be then what? It should be 2 actually, because then we would like to start it from the second column, right? But the problem is that once you print this, once you run this s loop as 2, the next time when this is going to be on the row number 3, you do not want to start from 2. You want to start from the third column, isn't it? Right? So in that case, what basically we are supposed to do? Now guys, I can put the if condition here. It can be done in any other way as well. Your suggestions are always welcome as usual, right? You can share your code as well, and I can go and talk about that as well in one of my videos, in next videos, right? But right now, because I wanted to give you the if example, so what I have thought of that, why don't you just go and write here that if your my target, okay, if your my target is going to be greater than is going to be equals to 2, right, the moment it turns out to be sorry, it is going to be 3, okay, or I would say that we can also write if my big loop is going to be 2, because once it is the row number is 2, it will go for the third row. So in that case you can write, then in that case S loop has to be 3, right, else S loop should be 2. So this is also something you can do it, guys, isn't it? Let me explain the code. First of all, let's just write the endf, and let me give some indenting also. Now what I'm saying basically is that whenever you're going to be on the big loop as 2, you would be here on the second row, right? Now when you're going to be on the second row, obviously guys, you would like to go on the third column, and that is why I said that then make this, you know, S loop as 3. Okay, now S loop, if you're going to make as 3, then what happens, this S loop which we have written here, you know, that's going to create a problem, because here you are saying that S loop has to be 1 to my target, which means it should start with 1, but here you are saying that it should be 3. So what happens eventually, when this is going to run again the second time, your S loop will start with 1. So instead of that, you know what you should do, you should create a variable. So I'm just going to write here a variable called column number. I think that would be the best approach. Let's not use this S loop in this, you know, the cell. I just create one more variable here, and I just write here my dim as column number. And to begin with, so let's just write here long, and let me write there long as well. Now when I'm going to start this, you know, this the column number, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write here that my column number should be equals to 1. It should be 1, isn't it? Because you, after all, you have to first of all start from the column number 1, right? Now I know this may not be making much of the sense, especially for the beginners or for the intermediate level users, but once we run the code, guys, you will understand everything, right? Remember, we are using the 2 loops, and we are using the if condition as well, right? So let me just increase the height of this so that we can see the entire code. Let me just backspace it. Yeah, so this is your entire code, guys, right? Now let's run the code, and I will keep your local window on here, right? So let's just run the code. Variable not defined. So this is basically column number. I just copy and paste it as column number as 2. Okay, so let's run the code. Now we're going to start this. As you can see here, the big loop is 1, my column number is 1. Now this time the loop is going to run 5 times, because I say that my S loop 1 to my target, and you know that my target is 5. So the 5 times the loop is going to run this particular loop. So here we have 1, and here we have what, column number. Now column number should be incremented, because we want the column number to change every time. So I'm just going to write here column number plus 1, isn't it, right? Because now it is not next S loop, right? So now we just go, and you see that we got the 1 here. Now column number is going to be 2, as you can see. Time for the second time the loop is going to run. Your big loop is still 1, obviously, and your column number is 2 now, which means you are going to write this X now in the P1. So there we go. And similarly, column will again be incremented to 3. Now we are going to hit the third column and fourth column, and now the last column is 5. Once your S loop becomes 5, it is going to exit from here. Now as you know, my target, so we're going to now subtract the my target with -2, right? Because I want the next time it should run only 3 times, 1 2 3. So my target is, now you can see it is 3. Now here we are putting a condition. If my big loop is 2, what is my big loop, guys? Big loop is basically this. Now this is the first time the loop is running, you can see here, right? This is the big loop. This will be 2 when we're going to execute this line, this big loop line, right? So right now the value in the big loop is 1, so this is not going to execute. It will go in the else mode, and here it's going to make this column number, which is 6 from the previous code, because remember we printed X in the column 5, and then after 5 it is actually 6 because of this, you know, this column number equals to column number plus 1. So let's changes back to 2. So you see that the column number is 2. Now the big loop is going to be what? It is going to be 2. As you can see here, big loop is 2. So that means now this time this is row number 2 and this is my column number 2. So guys, tell me one thing, row number 2 and column number 2, what do you mean by that? Obviously A2, isn't it? So in the A2 I'm going to put this X there, right? I beg your pardon, B2. I'm so sorry, actually it's a second column, so it is supposed to be B, right? Okay, so we have this now. The column number again should be incremented because we want to go to the C2, isn't it? So again the big loop is 2 and the column number is 3, so we are on the 2 comma 3. So now you tell me where we're going to be. Obviously we're going to be in the C2, isn't it? So there we go, we are on the C2, and then finally we are on the D2, and the loop is going to finish because loop is supposed to run 3 times and we have printed the 3 values and the loop should exit. Now guys, again the next time, now this my target which is 3 right now, right, this is going to be reduced by 2. Again I subtract 2 from it and this becomes 1. So that means the next time when the loop is going to run, it is going to run from S loop 1 to only 1. So it will run only one time and we need this only for once, right? So now what is the value of the big loop? You know that the big loop is 2, isn't it? So that is why I said that if the big loop is 2, you make sure you write the column number as 3 because we want to go in the C column. So the column is 3 now, and the next big loop, so this is going to run from 1 to 1 to what? 1 to 1. So this is the only first and the last time the loop is running. You have here big loop as 3, you have here column number as 3. So row number 3 and column number 3 means that you're going to hit the C3 with the X value, right? Column is going to be incremented. Next S loop, obviously there is no scope of running this loop because as we said that you're supposed to run this only one time because my target is 1. So all this code is going to be executed, but it's of no use because now your big loop is also going to finish because big loop is already 3, you can see here, and this was supposed to run only 3 times. So if I just go and press F8, this is how my code is going to end, right? So this is a terrific example guys, where we basically go and use the loops with the if conditions, right? You can pause the video and you can check this code and you can try to do this, right? So I hope this is going to give you a lot of confidence, and because we not only talked about the if in the loops, but we also kind of we actually made the sub loops in the loops, and this is the perfect example of that, right? And for more videos on the loops, you can also check out my playlist Excel VBA loops, and you can also watch Excel VBA collection loops, and you can also check out some interesting questions under the playlist Excel VBA Access interview questions. There are 50 videos uploaded there, and out of those 50 videos, I think there are like 3-4 videos on the VBA loops. You can go, and once you go under that playlist, you will come to know by looking at the video title. So that's it for now, and I'll see you soon. Till then, stay happy, have a fantastic learning, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.